Today is Tuesday, April 2nd, 1912. The White Star Line's latest ship, the SS Titanic, is in Belfast, Ireland. At this stage, the Titanic is nearing completion, with various final touches being made to the ship before its intended maiden voyage, which is scheduled for April 10th. But before the ship can be certified to carry passengers, she must complete her long-awaited sea trials. The weather is fair, with more favourable conditions compared to yesterday's originally scheduled sea trials. Titanic departed the fitting out wharf in the Harland and Wolff shipyard shortly after 6 AM, with the tugboats towing her towards the open sea. Harland and Wolff sent their own tug, the Hercules, to have the first line across and to lead the way. The tugs were providing all the propulsion until the Titanic was in Belfast Lough, 2 miles off the Irish coast. The crew on board for the trials consisted of the Guarantee Group, a group of yard workers hand-selected by the ship's designer Thomas Andrews to accompany him on the sea trials, as well as the maiden voyage to New York, and a skeleton crew of stokers, greasers and firemen. Also on board is Captain Edward John Smith, who previously skippered the Olympic and has now taken command of Titanic. Francis Carruthers, a surveyor from the Board of Trade, is also present to see that everything is working and that the ship is fit to carry passengers. He has visited and inspected the Titanic over 2,000 times during her construction period. The main objective of the sea trials is to achieve the ship's seaworthiness, speed and ability to manoeuvre, but above all, whether her machinery and equipment installed is operating as expected. Just a few days prior, Titanic's life-saving equipment was tested. All 16 lifeboats were fully loaded with yard workers and lowered into the water in order to test their strength in operation, as well as the operation of the new Welland lifeboat davit. Many people wonder why there were not enough lifeboats for all the passengers on board, and how she was certified to carry so few. Titanic's Welland lifeboat davit could give the ship the potential to carry 48 lifeboats. This would have provided enough seats for everyone on board. But at the time, the Board of Trade regulations simply stated that a British vessel over 10,000 tons need only carry 16 lifeboats. Even though the Titanic is over 4 times larger than this in gross tonnage, she was only required to carry 16 lifeboats in order to be certified. Titanic actually has an extra 4 collapsible life rafts, bringing her lifeboat count up to 20, meaning that Harland and Wolff and the White Star Line actually provided more lifeboat accommodation than was legally required at the time. The sea trials consisted of testing her handling characteristics, carried out first in Belfast Lough and then in the open waters of the Irish Sea. Over the course of about 12 hours, Titanic was driven at different speeds and her turning abilities were tested. During the trials, Titanic covered about 80 nautical miles with an average speed of 18 knots. With her central turbine engaged, she was brought up to her maximum speed of just under 21 knots, which was described as being her cruising speed. Meanwhile, on board, Titanic's Marconi equipment was being tested by Jack Phillips and Harold Bride for the first time at sea. They were sending and receiving telegrams to and from the mainland. Near the end of the sea trials, Titanic was put to the crucial test. At her full speed of 21 knots, how quickly could she stop? A crash stop was performed with the engines thrown from full ahead into full astern, bringing her to a stop in 850 yards in a time of 3 minutes and 15 seconds. This was considered to be quite acceptable by Francis Carruthers, and at 7 PM Titanic headed back to Belfast. Shortly after arriving back, her passenger certificate was endorsed, valid for 12 months, declaring the ship seaworthy. Titanic was officially handed over to the White Star Line from Harland and Wolff and received the title of RMS, standing for Royal Mail Steamer. An hour later, Titanic left her builders in Belfast for the last time. Titanic is currently heading from Belfast to Southampton, a voyage of about 570 nautical miles, which will take a little over 28 hours to complete. Tune in on Thursday to see the Titanic arrive in Southampton at White Star Line's berth 44.